I married the daughter of the most dangerous mafia boss in the city, but this wedding was never about love. Everyone in the room believed it was a perfect celebration. None of them knew what I brought with me tonight. Hidden inside my bag was a loaded gun, and it was meant for only one person. My hand slowly moved closer to the weapon. I had waited years for this moment. The mafia boss watched the ceremony with a cold smile. He had no idea who I really was. The music was playing and everyone looked happy. But in a few minutes, everything would change. Because this man destroyed my entire family, and tonight he would finally pay for it. October 12th, 2018. That was the night everything in my life changed. That night, my family and I went to a small restaurant on a quiet street. It looked like just another normal evening. We sat together and started eating dinner like always. None of us knew this night would never be forgotten. In the middle of dinner, my father's phone suddenly buzzed on the table. I saw his eyes change as he read the message. The message was short. "They're coming." My father slowly put the phone down, and for the first time, I saw real fear in his face. A few seconds later, the restaurant door slowly opened, and a tall man in a dark suit walked inside. The entire restaurant went silent when he stepped closer to our table. It was the mafia boss, the man who would kill my father. The man stopped right next to our table. Everyone in the restaurant suddenly went quiet. My father slowly stood up to face him. I had never seen my father look that tense before. The mafia boss leaned closer and whispered something to my father. I couldn't hear the words, but my father's face suddenly changed. Then my father turned and walked with him toward the door. That was the last time I ever saw my father alive. We sat there waiting for my father to come back, but deep down, I already knew something was wrong. That night we went home without him. My mother waited for hours, but he never came back. I couldn't sleep that night. Something inside me knew my father was gone. Years passed after that night, but the memory of that man never left my mind. I grew up remembering exactly what he did, and slowly, a plan began to form. Taking revenge on a mafia boss isn't easy. You have to get close to him first. But getting close to a mafia boss isn't easy. First, I had to learn everything about his family. That's when I saw her for the first time, the mafia boss's daughter. So I found the only way to get into his life, his daughter. I started watching her routine, where she went, and who she trusted. Then one day, I finally approached her, pretending it was just a coincidence. We started talking more and more, and soon, she began to trust me. Weeks turned into months, and our relationship grew closer. Eventually, she introduced me to her father, the man who killed mine. And that night, he shook my hand, not knowing I came to destroy him. That night, I sat at the same table as the man who destroyed my family. Everyone else was laughing like it was just a normal dinner. But every time he spoke, all I could see was my father's last night. He talked about power, money, loyalty, like the world was just a game he already won. And the craziest part, he had no idea the son of the man he killed was sitting right in front of him. When the dinner ended, he stopped me before I left. For a second, he stared straight into my eyes, and I swear, it felt like he was trying to read my soul. That night, I understood something important. Revenge wasn't going to happen in one day. If I wanted to destroy him, I had to become part of his world. And that's when the craziest idea came to my mind. If I married his daughter, I could get closer than anyone else, close enough to finally finish what started that night. After that dinner, we started seeing each other more often. Long walks, late night conversations, the kind that makes people fall in love. And slowly, she started trusting me. She told me stories about her childhood, about her family, about how much she loved her father. And every time she said that, something inside me burned even more. Some nights I would sit alone and look at my father's old photo, and I would remind myself why I started all this, because revenge was the only thing I had left. But her father was always watching. Every time I came over, his eyes followed me, like he was waiting for me to make one small mistake. One day, He finally called me into his office. Just the two of us. And the question he asked next almost exposed everything. He looked at me for a long moment before speaking, like he was trying to see through every lie I had ever told. And then he asked the one question I hoped he never would. Why are you really with my daughter? His voice was calm, but his eyes weren't. In that moment, I knew one wrong word could end everything. So I told him the only answer he wanted to hear, that I loved her, and somehow he believed me. He stayed silent for a few seconds. Then he slowly nodded. And that was the moment I realized I was finally inside his world. Not long after that, we told her father about our decision, that we were going to get married, and the man who destroyed my life was about to become my father-in-law. The wedding was bigger than anything I expected. Powerful people from everywhere came to celebrate with him, and I realized this man's empire was even larger than I imagined. At one point, he placed his hand on my shoulder and told everyone I was now part of his family, the same family that destroyed mine. Everyone was celebrating that night. Music, laughter, drinks everywhere. But my eyes never left the man who killed my father. Later that night, he asked me to step outside, just the two of us on the balcony. And what he said next completely surprised me. He told me he trusted me now, more than most people in his organization, and that trust was about to give me the opportunity I had been waiting for. A few days after the wedding, he brought me into his office, a place only his closest people were allowed to enter. That's when I knew my plan was finally working. A few days after the wedding, he brought me into his office, a place only his closest people were allowed to enter. That's when I knew my plan was finally working. It was the same restaurant where my father died, the same place where everything started, and suddenly, pieces of the past started coming together. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about what I saw. My father's death wasn't random, it was part of something much bigger. And that's when I realized something terrifying. Killing him would not be enough. I had just discovered a secret that could destroy everything he built. That night, I went back to the office alone. I needed to see those files again, because something about them didn't make sense. And then I saw the truth, a name in those files I never expected, my father's. My father wasn't just a victim that night. He had betrayed them first. And the man I hated all my life only finished what my father started. Everything I believed for years was a lie. My revenge, my plan, my entire life. It was all built on a story that wasn't true. So now I had a choice. Kill the man I hated for years, or finally walk away from a revenge that was never mine to take. My father wasn't just sitting in that restaurant. He was meeting them because he had already betrayed them.